A Rose for Emily by Aida, Maria, Daisy, and Sumara.
Summary. A Rose for Emily is a story that explains Emily's life and how it was for her growing up and after her father passed. It takes place at her house. She often got plenty of comments about how bad her house would smell. Many thought of her as she got very sad and never cleaned up. Her house after her father had passed. Around when her father had passed away, she had kept his body in her house for 3 days and claimed he had said he was not dead when he was. She soon met Homer Barron, and he did not want to settle down with her, and she wanted to keep him, so she decided to poison him, and finally the smell was finally discovered. It was his body on her bed. She slept right next to him every day. Emily soon died of old age.
Conflicts and resolution. She was 30 years old and she was still single. Number 2. Many of the residents were complaining about the smell. Number 3. They didn't let her buy poison. Number 4. Homer didn't love Emily. Number 5. She didn't leave the house. Resolutions. She met Homer. Number 2. The townspeople placed lemon around Emily's house so it didn't smell. Number 3. She said it was the rats that she was going to kill. Number 4. Emily killed Homer since he didn't love her back and he wanted to leave her. Number 5. She lost her daddy and became depressed.
Characterization. Internal. Emily was very depressed. For example, she was depressed from her father passing away. She was controlling. Example, she was depressed after her father passing and poisoned Homer. External. She was very skinny when she was young and very pretty. After being left in her house for years, her hair turned gray and she gained weight.
The setting takes place in a town and her home. The purpose of setting, it helps set the mood and tone and helps the reader imagine their surroundings, such as when it explains the smell of the house and all that.
The point of view of this story is told in first person plural, and it's narrated by the entire town. The purpose of the point of view is to give information and to show how everyone feels. The theme is death and sadness. Since Emily died, Homer died, and so did her father. It explains how each character passed away. Also explains how Emily got depressed after her father passed away.
For example, Homer went to Emily's house one night and told her that he was gonna leave because he preferred men instead of women. But instead, she ended up killing him, and she slept beside him for 40 years until she died.
The mood is sadness and curious. The reason the mood is sadness is because she took everything very hard. From her father passing away and being lonely from killing Homer. People were curious from the smell coming from her house. Flashbacks. One of the flashbacks explains in the story was when she was buying the poison and how the person who sold it to her found it very odd and they thought she would kill herself. The reason lots of people thought she would kill herself was because she was always by herself. She never communicated with people from the town or anything. So she was very depressed and always in her house with a really bad smell. What she did with the poison was kill Homer. And from there, that's where the smell was coming from, because his body was laying on the bed for 40 years and it was really bad. So they finally found out where the smell came from. Information of the author. William Faulkner was a very famous writer during the 1900s. He was born and raised in New Albany, Mississippi. He dropped out of high school and only took few college classes as a special student. Most of his work was poetry. He became famous because of his novels set in the American South. He enrolled into Mississippi University, and he started as writing for the student newspaper and built on from there. The images we picked was a rose, a house, and a piece of gray hair. If you could.
The pictures we chose was a rose, a house, and a strand of hair. The rose is a metaphor. Everybody respected Emily, and once she passed away, they rose and gave their respects to her, unlike other people that died. The house represents her house and how big it was and how she lived there by herself for many years with a slave who served her. The strand of hair. And another thing for the house is that everybody wanted to see the inside of the house but never got the chance until she died. The strand of hair shows that when they found Homer's dead body many years later, there was a strand of hair next to the other side of the bed, which shows that Emily laid next to him and that she was frequently there and that she was recently there.
So basically, the story of the rose for Emily explains how why she got very depressed was because of her father's passing, and she was a very beautiful woman. The town knew her as that. And after her father passed away, she got very strange, really stayed in her house, was really never out. She had a slave, and she would send him everywhere for her. And she then found Homer, but Homer was known as to be gay, like not so interested into women. So he went to her house for that one night, and he said, "I want to leave," and she decided to say, "No, you're not going to leave," and she poisoned him. And she kept him on her bed forever. So like that's where like the smell was coming from. And people tried stopping the smell, but it could really never stop because it was like a dead body. And so they soon discovered what really happened to Homer and why the house was a very awful smell.
The town people were curious about Emily because she refused to leave her house later in her life, because after her father died, she became very depressed and did not want to socialize with anybody else. And as time went by, she lost her figure and people didn't see her for a very long time. The word that best describes or sums up Emily's attitude towards the tax people was suspicious. In the story, the mayor kept sending Emily tax bills, and she would not pay them because she felt that she didn't deserve to pay them. And every week, when she got the bill, she would send it back and made it look suspicious. This is our works cited page.